from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined here today once again by our friend Paul Visokey. Excited to have him back here. He's the owner of his own company and as a business coach at Stony Advisors, based out of Stamford, Connecticut, but working with people all over. He's back to talk more about those out there maybe interested in buying a business, selling a business, and so much more. So first and foremost, Paul, welcome back to the show. Great to have you here. How's everything?
Everything is great. Thank you, Jill.
Great. Well, excited to see that you're here. And, it's been a while since we spoke, but glad to have you back. And we need to just reestablish a little bit about yourself and, of course, Stony Hill Advisors and what it is you do specifically so our listeners can get to know you again.
Sure. My firm is a mergers and acquisitions advisory firm.
Yeah.
So we help business owners mostly on the sell side of the equation, which means we help them find a buyer for their companies. Most of our clients are looking to retire and sell their business, which is their mostly only means
pride and joy. Their baby.
Yeah, they don't have pension plans or any other savings to live on. We do help buy side people, and most of that focus is actually our sell side clients buying companies before they end up selling, because the best way to grow your business is by acquisition. It is not by organic growth, because organic growth is too slow and too chancy, where a good acquisition with our guidance can double your company in 1 year.
Wow. Impressive. And how many years has your firm been in business for now?
14.
God bless. Amazing. And I want to get to know you before we go into more of, the services that you provide. But please give us a little bit of your background, and would love to find out more. I know you got a whole list of people that work with you, but exciting. I want to know how you got into this, and then you started your own company. So let's go back a little bit, Paul. Tell us about where you're from, a little bit about your education, and how you established this.
Well, it's a long story. I'm a graduate engineer. I have a technology background in computer science. I got an MBA, worked in industry, first in technology, in telecom. Then I went into the mortgage industry in the 2000 time period. I was a senior VP in a commercial mortgage company. And then in 2009, we closed the business. If you remember the mortgage crisis, we were a victim as well. Sure. I decided to start my own company. And when I decided to do that, I didn't know what I was going to do. Then I realized through some research that there are so many small businesses owned by people in the baby boom generation.
Wow.
And I could relate to them. And in further research, you recognize the fact that they've been in the business for a long time and had no way to exit. They didn't think about that as part of their daily lives. They work day in and day out. Then when they reach a certain point in time, they go, well, now how do I sell this?
Yeah.
So that's a service we provide, and I view it as a service. It's helping people who are reaching a point in time that they don't want to or can't, in some cases, work any longer. So we really help them find the access to their wealth.
Amazing. And you say that you believe owners and acquirers of small, mid-sized businesses also require expertise and dedication of the Stony Hill team advisors. And by the way, you have quite a few advisors here on the board that work with you as well. So could you just share a little bit about everyone here, obviously, who's certified, experienced, and about the teamwork that goes into this at Stony Hill?
Sure. Yeah, I've gradually grown the team over the last 14 years. And I decided strategically not to have everybody in the same place.
Yeah.
We work with small business owners, and the best way to get to know them in their own communities, in their own cities. So my people are stationed in Long Island and Lower New York State and Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Dayton, Ohio and Nashville, Tennessee and Houston, Texas, and we're continuing to add people across the country because every city has small business owners who need our services. So that's the nature of our business. We've been growing over time, and it's known as the baby boom generation because it's a huge population, and sometimes referred to as a age wave or a tsunami of people looking to sell, and it's coming. They've been holding on and holding on. Thankfully, many of these people in this age group are. Their health is holding on, but when they get 70, maybe some cases 80, they just can't continue. So we help them find the buyer.
Got it. Well, there's also part of you also have this academy where you're teaching, right? In a sense.
Yes.
Could you share a little bit about that? I saw that as well.
Yes, thank you. That's a unique service we offer. Um, as you can imagine, many of these small business owners operate the business as the primary. They don't have a management team of significant experience. They've been with them a long time, but they're not hired VPs of sales and CFOs, and their team is pretty limited because that's how they manage control costs. So they operate on a very risky level of providing services. They serve their customers, but they don't think about themselves and how an extra buyer would view their company. So we try to make them aware of the way to make the business ready. We call it exit value planning. We create an exit plan, and we help them increase the value. And the simple equation is if you reduce risk for the next owner, you do increase the value because they're willing to pay more.
Yeah.
But unless you stop and think about it and work on it, and we ask for 1,000 days, literally, if you can give us 1,000 days, we'll make your business more valuable when you finally reach the stage you want to sell it. So that's what we have at Stony Hill Academy, is a learning management system where we put people through the paces of working on their business to make it ready and increase the value.
All right, Paul. Well, this is your show. What else do you want people to know about you, the work you provide? And of course, love to hear success stories later too. But go ahead.
Sure. It's a kind of a life mission, if you will. I really enjoy what I do. We do a lot of networking with people in the trusted advisor category. That means they're attorneys, they're accounting firms, they're financial advisors, certain other consultants that work with the business. Many times in these small companies, they have certain parts of the business and fractional, like a fractional CFO, fractional CMO. And these are all people who know these same business owners, and they have their trust because they've been there before we get there, because we're usually late in the game at the end of their business life. So we work with them to get introduced and get build up a trust factor as well, so that the business owner can trust we're going to do a good job for them. That's so critical, and it's what's enjoyable, because we really get to know, again, in 1,000 days, we get to know the business pretty well, and when we're giving the best advice we can. And when we finally find a buyer, it's highly rewarding for the business client.
Beautiful. And what would you say makes Stony Hill stand out, besides yourself, Paul, because you're so hardworking, dedicated, and passionate, but really, what do there's other companies out there. Why should people come with you, or at least have a consult with you, right?
Exactly. Well, the one thing is we do differentiate ourselves with our exit value planning and the Stony Hill Academy learning management system, because most of our quote competition and M&A are people who tell me when you're ready to sell, and I'll take you to the marketplace. Well, if the person calls them up and says, take me to the market, and the business isn't ready, they're not going to get what they wanted. And our competitors will say, well, come back again when you're ready. We work with them to make them ready and increase the value. So there's no reason to go anywhere else. We've developed a relationship. We've got their trust, and we know how to reach their best buyer community, because we know the business. We're not just shooting in the dark, so to speak. So we really provide a very close consultative service, taking the business to the marketplace to find the best buyer. And
speaking of buyers, businesses, let's talk about some of the types of businesses you're working with, small, big, and I would love to hear some of the stories of the people you've worked with.
Yeah, we have a group of people across the country, as I mentioned. We're not limited to any given industries, but we do focus on a certain size range that fits our process. We work with businesses that typically have at least $5 million in revenue, and we kind of top out at around 50 million, because our competition changes above 50 million. Then you're competing with big investment bankers like Goldman Sachs and so on. So we don't want to go against those guys. And there's certainly a lot of companies in the U.S. between 5 and 50 million. So that's our sweet spot. And more often than not, we gravitate to the middle of that range, 10 to 20 million. that's the best category because they're very highly valuable businesses and they need our services. They're typically, again, as I said, very management. The management of the company is very owner focused, and we got I always tell clients that you're ready to sell when you go away for a month, and then all your employees didn't know you weren't there.
Yeah.
That business is running on its own. Now it can be transferred, and too many business owners can't do that. They don't trust. They don't have the personnel to leave it behind. They have to be involved in every decision, every hiring, every pricing, and until they can get away from that, it's really difficult to sell.
Interesting. Well, I love hearing success stories, and I got to, as usual, I peruse on the website to read some of those. And I want to ask, you also have a YouTube link as well. Let's remind everyone how we can contact you. StonyHillAdvisors.com. Phone number for you, email, anything else you want to share before we continue?
My email is my first name, Paul, at StonyHillAdvisors.com. I have to remind people, Stony is Stony, no E in it. Sometimes people try that and say, I can't send you an email. My phone number is 267-535-2551. Calls come to me, and then I transfer as necessary to all the advisors. We have a strong team, very seasoned team, by the way. A couple of people own businesses, a couple of people were CEOs in prior companies, and a few people have been in and doing this kind of work for a long time. So our team is very experienced. We relate to business owners at their level. They're later in their lives. My team are pretty well experienced too, so that we have a good ability to reach them at their point in life.
And just curious, since the last time we spoke, of course, we had the pandemic and we had a lot of people lose businesses. And let me ask how things have shifted and changed from that. That must have been a hard time for so many people who were having to let go of their businesses. Could you just share a little bit about that and then what's happening today in the market, in the business world?
Yeah. That's a very interesting question because we actually were shut down for almost 6 months because nobody was selling their business or even buying a business because they didn't know if they were going to survive their business. And that went on till late in the fall of 2020. It started to come back slowly, and it's been building ever since. We are seeing a lot of activity now, and I think it's partly, it's interesting, people worry about interest rates. The interest rates don't affect us too much because most of our buy-side clients, people buying a company, own a company. We focus on mergers. It's a certain category where one company buys another company in a merge process, and that's what we mostly do. And the companies that are buying have access to funds because they're successful, ideally, and then so they don't go to the markets and borrow a lot of money. They may borrow some for down payment, so to speak, but they know that the company they're buying will generate profits. And when they merge it into their company, that profits add to their bottom line. And so it's an easy way to pay back whatever money they've taken to buy it. So it grows their company. It makes their company, the buying company, that much more valuable because the profits of the acquired company add in. So it's a really good process. And I'll say one more thing. The people probably have heard of private equity. What we do is private equity on a lower scale. Private equity uses third-party money, and they buy companies and merge them and then sell them again. What we do is we help companies buy other companies, but for the purpose of growing their company until they're ready to sell for retirement. So it's really on a longer term acquisitive process where it helps the industries that they're in get bigger and stronger because they're building up their potential, and the selling client is getting a good payment for their business. Because strategic buyers, as I'm describing, pay better than someone who comes in and offers to buy the company to run it.
Got it. Well, great. This is wonderful getting you back here on the show and talking to you more about what's happening in your business, in your world. And let me ask, obviously here we are in 2024, and what has been happening here with our economy, with businesses? Are you seeing more of a trend of people selling now? Are things better for business owners, or are they worse? And also, 2 questions. What states do you work in? Is it all states in the U.S. or was it just a few?
That question. We can sell in every state.
Okay.
We don't have people in every state, but
Got it. But
we are slowly adding people across the country. So it is a nationwide practice. We have buyers from anywhere in the country. So there's no restrictions on what we're doing. To your point about the current marketplace, it's turning out to be quite strong now in 2024, and we expect 2025 to be even better. It's a matter of age. It's, as I said earlier, the baby boomer generation need to retire at some point. No one lives forever, and so they've been holding on and holding on from every little hiccup, whether it was the pandemic or before that, recession times. They keep waiting and waiting, but they can't do that for forever. So they're starting to recognize this is a good time. As I also said, the acquiring company doesn't really need to borrow a lot of money in the public market, so they're not paying high interest rates. Yeah. They can also refinance because the money they're using to buy the company can be churned back through the increased profits. So it's a process of it pays for itself, so to speak.
Got it. And when is there a good time to sell a business compared to a downtime? Like, how do you know it's your year? How do you know it's time to sell that company?
Well, any time's a good time. It's about, you shouldn't, it's like timing the stock market. Oh, I'm going to wait till the stock market reaches this high.
Gotcha,
and the next thing you know, it's dropped down 200, 300 points. Oh, I should have sold. You should do it when you feel it's right for you and your family and your business and your employees. There's no specific time. And when your business is working very well, it is a good time because it's generally going to get a higher value. But it's not a predictable time period on the calendar that, it's a good time to sell, whether it's my age or the economy or the time of year. It's whenever you feel that things are going well, it's the best time to go because you're going to get higher multiple. And by the way, the interesting thing about what we do, the bigger the business, the higher the multiple, which means it's a multiplying process. A $5 million business doing that, $5 million in profit, let's say, will get a high multiple of 6-7 times what that profit is, and a business doing $1 million will get 2 to 3 times. So the bigger the business, that's why we promote acquiring. The bigger the business, you don't just get. It's not just the 1 to 5 million in profits. It's 2 times 1 million versus 6 times 5 million. That's the multiplier. So it really makes a difference when you're bigger.
Got it. Any other topic you want to make sure we cover for today, Paul, being this your first show back and people are getting to know you and the company and, of course, a little bit about the people you're helping?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say is I'd like to reinforce the idea of exit preparation. Again, we call it exit value planning, but whatever you want to call it, if you haven't prepared for the exit, it's going to cost you. And when you go to market, if your business isn't quite ready, if you haven't buttoned up things and reduced the risk factors, I've had so many cases where the business owners decide not to sell because they can't get what they need for retirement, but they've gone through the effort and they've been disappointed. It's best to get yourself ready. 1,000 days minimum to get yourself ready to sell, and you're going to get the best value you can.
Got it. Wow. And on a personal note, let me just ask, managing this business, and before you started the business, where were you working? How did you get all this knowledge and experience? This is great.
Well, I was in the commercial mortgage company.
Got
we had a startup business, and we had an offer to be acquired, and it fell apart when 2009 came. And we all kind of looked around and said maybe it was time to move on because the industry was flat on its back at the time. And I decided I was going to do my own thing. It's just,
so cool.
Fortuitous times happen in a career where things happen out of your control and you use them to pivot. And I decided to pivot.
Got it. Now, if there's someone out there who may be interested in buying a business, needs that advice, that's something you help with as well, too, correct? And you can help set that up?
Absolutely. I have a lot of experience. As I said, also, my team is very experienced. We can help. Just let us have an opportunity to talk to you, and we'll give you the best guidance we can.
Perfect. And just curious, the businesses we're talking about here, are they businesses that are, $1 million businesses, $10 million businesses? It doesn't matter any business, too small, too large? No.
Well, as I said, we look for $5 million in revenue.
Okay.
There's an idea in the marketplace called a business broker. They sell Main Street, as we call it. This is the delicatessen or the guy who cuts your grass. These are small businesses. If they have 10 employees, they're big. So we don't do that. We're not a business broker. We are an M&A specialist focused on mergers, and so the company has to be big enough for another company to want to acquire them. And so
Got it.
it's we're not selling a job. If you own a pizza shop and you work in the pizza shop, when you sell that, you're just selling your job.
Yeah.
We sell the company, so we look for valuable companies, even if they're small. And 5 million is a good starting point. If they have that much revenue, then they're probably going to be strong enough to be interesting to another company to acquire.
And are you also helping businesses with like reverse acquisitions when that's happening? Is that part of the process of what you do
Well,
too?
that's the buy side work. Yeah, we
That's
do.
okay.
We help them. We help people buy companies. Again, it's kind of like the old Pac-Man story. If anybody on your show knows Pac-Man, the little guy eats the bigger guy and goes along, and
Yeah.
that's what the industry is about. And that we just work in a lower middle market, which is these companies are reasonably small, but the bigger company's going to buy them, and we'll find a bigger company yet. And so each time there's a churn where one company buys another, and it happens all the time.
Perfect. And I know on the website you offer, there's a free download that I can't download it myself, but it's 7 questions to ask before you sell a business.
Right. They're just intended to be thought provoking, so that people stop and think. It's more than we've had occasions where people say, "I want to sell by next month." It just doesn't happen that fast. Our timeline is 6 months minimum from the time you first contact us and until we think we'll have a conclusion to the process. There's a lot of steps in between, a lot of work in between.
Sure.
Getting the business ready, preparing the marketing materials, the financials are critical, having good, clean financial statements. All that has to get organized and prepared before we go to market. We believe in the idea of the first impression is the lasting one. So we want to make sure that everything is ready before we start contacting other companies to make acquisitions.
Beautiful. Well, we still have 4 minutes left in your show, Paul. What else do you want your viewers and listeners to know about you and the business and why they should reach out to you?
Yeah, the one topic we didn't cover it's related to what we do. We deal with this often. It's called the valuation process. People want to know, what's my business worth, and we do valuations on a market level. We look at what buyers are paying today for similar businesses, and we value the business in terms of what the market is saying. But we also value it based on the conditions of the business. Are the risk factors too strong that'll bring the price down? Or is this business have a lot of very interesting characteristics or very promising future? A typical example I use sometimes is if two companies have the same revenue and one company has all recurring revenue, like in somebody buying things online and you give them a credit card, and the other company is going out and selling every day to find a new customer. They have the same revenue. The one that has recurring revenue with the credit card customer is worth a lot more because the company buying them doesn't have to worry about where the revenue is coming from. The company that goes and finds a new customer every day has to worry about finding a new customer next month. So those are factors in a business, and we when we do the analysis, we look at all factors and we try to provide guidance. But that also relates back to the valuations, because when we do evaluation, we try to understand these factors so that we can give proper guidance on what we think the market will pay for your company.
Got it.
Well, and everybody should have a valuation. That's just so you know where you stand. You look at your bank account, you know what your checking account holds, you know what your stocks are like. You should know what your business is worth.
Oh, of course. Well, that's all that you can help with. And if someone does want to reach out, what is the initial process like? We set up a call, we set up an appointment. How does that part work, Paul?
Well, it starts with a call, or mostly an email. Reaches people like to use email these days. So I'll get a lot of emails saying, "Can I talk to you about what I have in mind?" We'll make a call using this technology, Zoom or whatever the other video technologies are. Start this dialogue, and then we go on from there and get to know it primarily starts with financial information, because what happens in the end of the day, what people buy are profits. That's because that's how you pay back whatever you invested. So we get the financials, we review it, we give them our best advice, and if they want to engage us, we'll sign up. And we do exclusive engagements only. There's no need for multiple sellers in the marketplace, because that just confuses the buyers. Yep. I got the same information from somebody else. Which company is it? And we just we want a clean slate. They have to trust us that we're going to do the right job.
Perfect. Well, how can we reach you?
Paul at Stony Hill Advisors. Stony. My phone number is 267-535-2551.
Well, it's a pleasure having you back here. And I know you're based out of Stamford. You said you did a little bit of a move recently?
Oh, I live in New Canaan. I moved from Stamford to New Canaan, which is not a big move.
All right, it still says Stamford in your notes. That's why. But okay, good.
Yes, it's just. But I came to Stamford 4 years ago from Philadelphia. I was living in Philadelphia Marketplace, but I've been many places. So, but we have people around the country. So, if you're anywhere in this country, we can help you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. You have a fantastic day. Looking forward. Hope we have more shows again, and hopefully I will see you soon. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jill.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you again. Bye-bye, Paul.
Bye now.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.